I once called myself a possibilitarian because I do truly believe that inherently all things are possible. I don't always live that to fruition personally, but that's because my own obfuscations and biases and cognitive scarcities and programming and things get in the way. And I'm working diligently to sort of optimize all that. I got into coaching a few years back and now full time. Accidentally at first, I didn't realize it, but I got into it because I realized when I thought and reflected on the people that had made the biggest impact on my life, and I'm going back all the way to childhood, it was always a coach. And I played sports all the way up through college. And it was always a coach that sort of took note of me, made me feel seen, pushed me harder, held me up to a rubric, a standard, and but all the while still admiring me and being kind to me for the most part. And then later on, after I got divorced and I started going back down the rabbit hole, it was coaches that I had hired, mentors that I'd hired that had really made the biggest impact on me. And I never had the luxury of having a father figure. Um, I mean, my mother was in a unique situation as well. And so I never really had mentors or anyone to guide me or have deep, meaningful conversations with me as a child. And so I really sort of latched onto this idea of coaches and how they were able to prepare me for later on in life. And I'm still using them to this day. And so when I started getting asked a few years ago if I would help photographers with various things that they were observing and admiring about my business at the time with fusion photography, and I started sort of unconsciously coaching them and just sort of having deep and meaningful conversations, I was actually able to alter the trajectory of their business. And because I am who I am, I sort of get into these like deep conversations with people, deep and meaningful conversations. I just like exploring everything. Um, I would get into deeper, more meaningful conversations about personal life with these same individuals. And in the process of these conversations and this unconscious coaching, I realized that I was building a really cool connection and rapport with them. And that felt cool. But I was able to sort of peel back through candid conversations with these individuals something they had never potentially discussed before and explore that with them. And it was a lot of things that I was working on myself. So it was like a nice mirror, if you will. And being able to alter that trajectory, the only thing that I can really think of it is sort of, I got into photography for the same reason. Being able to freeze a moment for people and tell that story and then share that with them and have them see that sort of unfolding as they replayed the story in their mind's eye. Like that's cool as shit. And that was a really cool honor. And so now coaching is similar to that. I'm actually working with people to help them figure out how to live a better version of themselves. And that doesn't make me anything. How do I say this without sounding modest? It doesn't, or not too self-deprecating. It doesn't necessarily make me the best at anything. It makes me good at what I do for a very specific type of person. And so, I've been very honorable about that in the last few years, is trying to figure out who do I work with, who can I affect the most, and how can I truly alter the trajectory of their life for a better outcome. And it really always centers around that. It's sort of like this intuitive possibilitarian attitude of really stepping into potential and helping you unpack that and being with you along the way and sort of guiding you like my coaches have guided me. And I'm just going to do a few shout outs from Cynthia to Sam to Hillary to my longest coach, Nick, and his ability to just sort of stay present with me and guide me through these things. And all of them each in their own right has these unique elements. And that I think is really the beautiful thing about coaching is you can find somebody who matches your vibe. It might take some time, but you can find somebody who matches your vibe and your temperament and your personality and can sort of like meet you where you are and sort of take on a role as I think you have to be a friend. Like you are a friend. It's not clinical. We're not clinicians here. We're humans. We're here to help you grow. And I don't know that everyone would agree with that. But I think from my point of view, my job as a coach is to find something in you, be the sounding board for you, the pushing board for you, to be the accountability partner for you, whatever it is that you might need in that given moment, and help you sort of unravel, uncover, step into. And it's a process, right? It requires trust. It requires loss of inhibitions. It requires transparency and vulnerability and truth. And it requires you to sort of take a look at your shadows and who you are. And I'm sort of going through that journey with you and having really deep and meaningful conversations and asking you questions that you've never been asked before. But it's in that process that the growth occurs and you're able to sort of take a look at what's working and what's not working. So, that's why I'm here. If you're interested in me walking alongside you in some way, shape, or form, um, we can craft a program that works for you and your needs, and I can help you, or I can be your possibilitarian. I really am honored by this and enjoyed this work, and it would be a privilege to help you figure your shit out, honestly. So let's connect.